Hello friend, today I want to discuss what are the common annotations we are using in Spring Boot, microservices, a Spring Cloud component by using chatbot. So suppose if I am searching what are the what are the common annotation using in Spring Boot. So all the common annotations which will become which we are using in Spring Boot while we are developing any application, like a Spring Boot application annotations is a common application annotation. REST controller, which is used for this RESTful web services controller. Request mapping, it's a controller method which we used. Auto wire, for this inject the dependency. Services we can use for the service component. Repository, which is used for this database communications. Component, use a general purpose of Spring component. Configurations, for the configurations related. @value. So these all are the main common annotations which we are using on daily basis. And suppose if I want to use what are the common annotations using for database connectivity. So all the common annotations which will come, which we are using on daily basis, repeatedly, to connect the database, like enable JPA repository, that we are entity which we are creating for this entity attribute, so now and tables and ID we are creating, and generated value and columns, and transactional, which is used for this, like handle the transactions and all, and persistence context is used for the inject the JPA entity into the class and this repository. So if we'll see these all, database connectivity on daily basis, we are using these all are the main annotations, like JPA repository annotations, entity, tables, ID, generated value, columns, transactional, persistence context we use somewhere, and a repository. If I'll search like in microservices, what are the common annotation used in using in microservices? So all the microservices common annotations which will become like common annotations which we used while we are developing. See here, REST controllers, request mapping, because microservices also we are using by the help of a Spring Boot. So all the annotations which will come, like enable discovery client we used for Eureka consoles and all, enable circuit breaker for hysterics, enable hysterics command we used, enable Joule proxy, enable configuration server, configuration property, fiend client also we use. So these all are the common annotations. We can say like all the microservice, all the Spring Boot application annotations, all Spring and Spring Boot annotations. So I think all these annotations which we are using, that all will come in that by the help of a Spring framework, a Spring Boot. This all will come, like auto wire, component, configuration, controller, enable auto configuration, request mapping, repository, request controller, service, transactional, value, enable JPA repository, which will be in the JPA database call entity, table, id, generated value, columns, bean, qualifier, and profile, conditional on property, like we can use for the conditional property, enable swagger to fiend client, enable discovery client, which is used in the cloud Eureka service registry, Eureka, enable circuit breaker, Hystrix command, Joule for proxies, enable configuration server, configurations property, transactional event listener. So these all are like a common which we used all in all microservices, Spring Boot, Spring Framework. Not these all, more than also we have, but these all are commons, like top 30s we can say, like annotations which we are using on daily basis. Also, like we can see Java annotations also, like top core Java annotations. For development we can say, so that all the common annotations which will be used in core Java, that will come in this, like by using chatbot. So directly you can search in chatbot all the common annotations and you can go for the proper definitions. Like override we used, deprecated we use, super page forwarding we use, safe where argue use, functional interface, nullable, not null, target, retention we used, documented we used, inherited using, repeatable also used. So these all are the common. Apart from this we have multiple annotations are there, but by using chatbot which we search, like these all are the common which we are using on daily basis. So like that you can search any type of annotations. Suppose what are the daily used REST API annotation, suppose. So all the REST API related annotations will come. Like request controller is a common annotations which is used for this get mapping, post mapping, put mapping, delete mappings, and all will come. These all are the HTTP path variables, request param, request body, response body, and the response status, event handler, sorry, exception handler, cross origin, and request mapping. So if you'll see, if you are developing any microservices based on REST API, then I think you are also using the same common annotations which we got through the ChatGPT. Like that, we have multiple ways through that we can go through the common annotations which we find and prepare for the interview, or maybe which you are using for the development, that we can do. So these all common annotations we learned today or discussed today through the chat. Yeah, that's it from my side today. Thank you.